In Beverly Hills, luxury wasn't a dream, it was normal. Valenti Auto Gallery wasn't just a showroom. It was a cathedral for car lovers. On that bright Saturday morning, the showroom buzzed with rich collectors, influencers, and car enthusiasts, all gathered to witness the unveiling of a legendary machine, a pristine 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO, valued at over $3 million. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed, and staff in tailored suits ensured perfection. But just as the grand moment came and the ignition key was turned, the engine coughed once, then died. A second try, then silence. Embarrassment crept in. *3. Mechanics, all in pressed uniforms with Italian logos stitched on their sleeves, hovered over the open hood. They whispered, adjusted, connected diagnostic tablets, and frowned. Whispers among the crowd turned into murmurs of disappointment. "Can't believe they didn't test it first," someone said. The event manager paced nervously. Then the glass doors creaked open, and in walked Jesse, a broad-shouldered man in faded jeans, flannel sleeves rolled to the elbow, and boots worn thin by years of hard labor. In his right hand, he carried a canvas tool roll, stained, frayed, and clearly older than most people in the room. People stared. A valet tried to stop him. "Sir, this is a private event." Jesse just nodded toward the GTO. "I was called." The staff looked confused. A junior technician said, half laughing, "You don't look like factory support." Another muttered, "Where's your badge?" But Jesse said nothing. He set the tool roll down, undid the strap, and calmly unfolded a collection of simple, classic tools, not a digital scanner in sight. More laughter followed. "What's he gonna do? Use a wrench on $1 million engine?" someone said. But Jesse didn't look up. His eyes were already locked on the Ferrari's heart. He reached into the engine bay, like a man who had been there before, not just with this model, but with the soul of it. With a small flashlight in his mouth, he began loosening bolts. Tapping here, adjusting there. The other mechanics backed away, unsure whether to stop him or let him embarrass himself. But Jesse's hands moved with certainty, like he wasn't guessing. He was remembering. Sweat gathered on his brow as he reseated a worn ignition coil, tightened a fuel line, and reset the timing just slightly by hand. Every motion looked oddly personal. A crowd formed around him now. Whispers turned to silence. Phones hovered, recording. Someone zoomed in on his hands, rough, cracked, steady. The gallery manager, red in the face, hissed, "If this guy scratches the paint, it's on you." The Italian rep folded his arms and watched silently. After 20 minutes of careful work, Jesse wiped his hands on a rag, gave the hood a final check, and nodded to the nervous assistant still holding the keys. "Start it," Jesse said quietly. The assistant hesitated, then twisted the key. The Ferrari rumbled once, then fired with a deep, perfect roar. The engine didn't just start. It purred like a tiger waking up from a nap. Rich, steady, clean. The room gasped. Someone dropped their champagne glass. The entire showroom, which just minutes earlier had dismissed Jesse as a joke, now stood in stunned silence. The Italian rep's eyes widened, his arms slowly unfolding. One by one, the staff turned to Jesse, speechless. The loudest doubter whispered, "That's not possible." Jesse calmly rolled up his tools, closed the hood with care, and stood tall. He didn't smirk, didn't gloat. He just looked at the car like an old friend finally awake. A young woman near the espresso cart asked, "Who is he?" The assistant whispered, "I heard he worked in a body shop outside Fresno. No degree, no certificate, just experience." But it wasn't just experience. Jesse had grown up in the back room of a junkyard, fixing broken engines before he could shave. His father had rebuilt Ferraris for collectors in secret. Jesse had learned by listening, watching, and eventually doing. He didn't need chrome-plated gear or flashy uniforms. He just needed the machine. And when machines broke, they didn't laugh, they waited to be understood. Asterisk, as Jesse turned to leave, the Italian rep finally stepped forward. "Signore," he said in a thick accent, "your timing, it was perfect. You recalibrated the intake like someone who's touched this engine before." Jesse gave a half nod. "My father built one of these by hand for a collector in Modena. Same flaw, different badge." The rep blinked. "You're his son?" Jesse didn't answer. He just walked to the door, rolled up tools under his arm. And this time, no one laughed. They just stepped aside, quietly watching a man who didn't ask for attention, but earned every eye in the room. Asterisk. The tension in the room was thick as Jesse stood up, wiping his hands with a rag as the final BOLT clicked into place. He gave a subtle nod to the skeptical manager, who exchanged a glance with a nearby technician before sliding into the Ferrari's leather driver's seat. Fingers trembling slightly, the manager turned the key and the engine exploded to life with a deep, rumbling growl. It was a sound that filled the room like thunder, commanding instant silence. Heads turned. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. The unmistakable purr of a perfectly tuned Ferrari echoed through the marble walls. Asterisk phones went up. Social media feeds lit up with shaky footage of the impossible. For 2 hours, professional mechanics and engineers had tried and failed. Then this man, with jeans that hadn't seen a washing machine in weeks, fixed it in minutes. Is that possible? Someone whispered. Even the valet outside stuck his head in, eyes wide. Jesse didn't bask in the attention. He quietly rolled up his worn canvas toolkit, tying the strap with practiced hands. His expression was unreadable. No smug grin, no chest pounding. Just calm efficiency. Like he'd done this 1,000 times before. Asterisk from the back of the room, a man in a tailored Italian suit stepped forward, his shoes clicking across the marble. He was older, with silver hair and the distinct aura of someone important. The red Ferrari badge on his lapel confirmed it. He was from the factory in Maranello. "Scusi," he said, looking directly at Jesse. "That repair. It was exact. Factory perfect. May I ask, who taught you?" The gallery fell into an even deeper silence. Everyone wanted to know. Jesse met the man's gaze without flinching. "My father," he said simply. "He built engines for Enzo himself." Asterisk, the Ferrari rep blinked, stunned. He whispered something in Italian and took a step back, like he'd just shaken hands with royalty. Jesse's eyes didn't flinch. "I watched him as a kid. Learned to listen to the engine's breath, not just read manuals." The rep nodded, slowly, understanding the weight of what Jesse said. "And these tools?" He motioned toward the old kit. Jesse smiled for the first time. "Same ones my father used. They may not look pretty, but they've got soul." Around them, the room slowly shifted, laughter replaced by awe. No one doubted him now. Asterisk, the gallery manager who had mocked Jesse earlier approached, swallowing his pride. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. Jesse looked him in the eye and shrugged. "You didn't know any better." He slung the toolkit over his shoulder, ready to walk away. But before he could reach the door, a young woman stepped forward, the influencer who'd been live streaming earlier. "Wait, who are you? What do you want? A job offer? A contract?" Jesse paused at the threshold and turned back. "I didn't come for a job," he said. "I came for the engine. It needed help." Asterisk outside, the golden California sun was beginning to dip below the skyline. Jesse walked toward his old pickup parked in the far corner, far from the luxury. Sports cars. The truck had rust on the doors, mismatched mirrors, and a cracked windshield. But inside sat a Polaroid photo taped to the dash of a man with the same strong jawline standing beside a younger version of Jesse, both covered in engine grease, grinning like kings. Jesse started the engine, which coughed once before humming to life. As he pulled away, no one could look away. The legend was real. Asterisk back in the showroom, the Ferrari rep turned to the manager. Get his name, get his number. We don't let someone like that disappear. But Jesse had left no business card, no LinkedIn profile, no Instagram handle. Just initials etched into the leather of his tool roll, JD. For weeks after, the gallery tried to track him down. Videos of the moment went viral. The man who fixed a Ferrari with ancient tools, read headlines. But Jesse was nowhere to be found. He wasn't hiding, he just didn't care for spotlights. His legacy was in the roar of engines. Asterisk in a quiet garage on the edge of Pasadena. Jesse returned to the only place he truly belonged, beneath the hood. His next project was a '68 Mustang, brought in by a teenage girl who said her late father once dreamed of restoring it. Jesse nodded and told her to come back in 2 weeks. As she left, she glanced at the workbench, seeing the same old tools and a picture of Jesse's father. Something about that garage felt sacred. Jesse didn't just fix engines. He restored memories, revived legacies, and reminded the world that true craftsmanship never dies. Asterisk that night, as the Ferrari purred like a symphony in the showroom under fluorescent lights, the gallery staff whispered about the quiet man with the greasy hands who walked in, took no money, and left behind a miracle. His name never made it to the glossy brochures, and his face never landed on magazine covers. But in every rev of that resurrected engine, Jesse's touch lived on. A silent echo of a man who didn't need credentials or approval, just a toolbox. A legacy, and the soul of a mechanic who turned ridicule into reverence with a single roar.